Welcome to another episode of the Spa City Law Show. I'm Scott Peterson from DeRosier Peterson, and in this show we talk about the law as it relates to everyday life, and we try to give you some tips and advice and guidance and suggestions about how you can benefit or understand the legal system as it commonly works today. So today we're talking about a recent article in the Albany Times-Union that immediately struck my attention because it talked about nurses at Albany Medical Center Hospital contemplating walking out because of what they considered to be understaffing at the hospital. It was followed up by another article where the nurses actually did walk out. And if you read the article, one of the things you really noticed was that the nurses were expressing a significant concern over the health and safety of patients because they felt like they were understaffed and overworked. And you know, from our perspective, we see this all the time, particularly in cases of hospital negligence and hospital errors. A lot of times what happens is that there is simply a failure to pay attention. People are rushed, people are trying to get things done before shifts end, people feel like they have too much going on, they're not paying enough attention to the patients, they're having appointments very quickly in order to get to the next patient, and when people are rushed and they do things quickly, things get missed, mistakes happen. So it's a little bit disconcerting to hear the nurses come out and say this openly because that suggests to us that this is a problem that's starting to boil over in the facility. Again, it's not really that surprising to hear it, but you know, the hope is that by bringing this to light, the hospitals and other hospitals in the region will take notice and will do what it can to try to staff ORs and staff, recoveries and ICUs and all parts of the hospital in a way that, you know, allows patients to get the best possible care, because that's really what they deserve. And really the standard is, you know, is the healthcare that's being provided acceptable? Is it acceptable under normal circumstances? And if it's not being provided in an acceptable way because there's not enough staff or because the staff is overworked, underpaid, burnout, that's a problem for these hospitals. That's a problem for the healthcare facility. And when a patient inevitably gets hurt, whether they fall from an operating table, whether there's a sponge or a surgical instrument left in after a surgery, whether there's a delay in a diagnosis, whether there's a heating pad that gets left on a patient for too long because no one's paying attention. By the way, all of these are cases that we have had, so they're real world examples, but whether any of these things happen because of the lack of attention to detail or because of understaffing, that creates liability on the part of the hospital. So it's important that these issues are brought to light. So in the end, if you find yourself one of the people who is impacted by these issues that hospitals are dealing with, it's important that you contact someone to think about what options you might have. And those options don't always include filing a lawsuit. There's a lot of different things along the way that we can do. But it's important that hospitals and healthcare facilities understand that they cannot get away with cutting staff, understaffing, overworking as a simple cost-cutting measure. That is not the place to do it. Patient care is the number one reason that these places are in business, and it's absolutely critical that they understand that and that when mistakes happen, they be held accountable for them. So if you have questions about that, give us a call. We're happy to help.